It's only day one of Dolphins training camp, and already we've got a player who was helicoptered to the hospital, and another player who suffered what's believed to be a season-ending ACL injury. Welcome to the 2025 season. I am Omar Kelly, host of Dolphins In Depth, a podcast provided to you by the Miami Herald. Joining me is Isaiah Smalls. We are here to recap day one of training camp, which was quite eventful. Let's start with Zach Sieler showed up. Zach Sieler worked, participated. The thought is that Zach Sieler would at some point be part of a hold-in. That still might happen. But Zach Sieler clearly wants a raise from the Miami Dolphins, but he is working at this point to probably, Zach Sieler is a lunch pail kind of guy, and show his young teammates the way, how to practice, what it's supposed to look like. Christian Wilkins did this in 2023 before shutting it. He did it for 2 weeks before shutting it down and saying, I want my money. Then we get to Artie Burns, who suffered what's believed to be an ACL injury in the individual portion of practice. That is sad and disappointing because he was supposed to be one of those guys who contends for probably a backup nickel spot, a spot on the 53-man roster. Then we've got Mathos. How do we say his first name?
Byron.
Yes, Byron Mathos, who is the Miami Dolphins international exemption player. He's been here for a year with the team, suffered an injury. We do not know exactly where the nature of the injury is. At the end of practice, was helicoptered off the field, strapped down to a stretcher. He's said to be in stable condition. Hopefully that's nothing serious. But Mathos is a young developmental player from Dominican Republic. The Dolphins have invested a year into from a developmental standpoint. All of these things happened. I forgot. I totally forgot. We are on the day. We are on. No, hold on. Before we get to that, we are on day two of Minkah's silence. Minkah was again expected to speak to the media. Again, pulled an audible and said, I'll get to him later. It has been officially 24 days since Minkah has been traded to the Miami Dolphins. We have not heard a single word about how Minkah feels about this trade from Minkah Fitzpatrick. We will continue to be watching on Minkah Watch. Participated, practiced, held his hand up to lead the defensive backs out of their individual drills. And now we get to the news of the day, which Isaiah Smalls has covered and written about. Tua acknowledged that there's some tension between him and Tyreek. And he says that tension is not just me. That's a lot of people who could not ignore or will not ignore what Tyreek said at the end of the season and did not accept the my bad apology. So what does this mean to you, Isaiah?
I mean, anybody that has watched this podcast shouldn't be surprised. After the incident initially happened, I firmly believe that he would have to have a very big come to Jesus moment with not just himself, but with the entire team, just because he essentially quit on them, right? Granted, the season was over. They had nothing left to play for. He had pulled himself out the game. But at the same time, it's just, what does that message send to the younger teammates, right? And that, I think, is the point of contention, right? Not only did he pull himself out, he basically said that he doesn't want to be there on a video that you so greatly recorded and, distributed worldwide. But, what does this mean? It basically means that Tyreek Hill is going to have to humble himself, essentially, right? He's going to have to go to every guy and really just, put his hat in his hands and say, hey, my bad, but actually mean it, right?
Like, I don't think that's going to work. I think it's got to be actions.
Hold on. It's a multi-layered process because you're going to have to hear the words, my bad, I'm sorry, I apologize, right? Preferably I apologize. I like that one because that one is actually admitting some guilt, right? And then after that, you do have to see actions, right? You have to see the way he approaches practice, the way he shows up on time, right? And we're not really worried about the way he approaches practice. Like, we all know that he's a phenomenal practice player, right? He practices very hard. But in terms of actions, it's showing up early, as he said he's been doing, right? Leading his group, just
not being late.
Yes, not being late. Yes, of course. Yes. And he was actually on time to
he
practice.
Actually said he was going to just focus on football, which for Tyreek would be like, that would be a new thing.
I don't necessarily believe all that. I just think that he's more committed to the process, right? When he talked yesterday, he mentioned doing the little things, right? In addition to obviously being on time, but staying after practice to work on, catching, doing some extra conditioning after practice. Now, have we seen that yet? Granted, it's been day one, right? I know some guys did stay extra to do some sprints afterwards, and that was a very player-led thing that they did. But, to really just put this to bed, Tyreek just essentially has to not only apologize, but show people with the way he's changed his behavior. And Tua even said that. Tua said that he's a lot more vulnerable than he's been in years past, right? And I can't imagine what it's like to be a rookie on this team, right? And, coming into this team and seeing a Tyreek Hill, right? Somebody that should wear a gold jacket one day, right? And having him talk to you about the struggles that he had in his life and how not to replicate that. And so if that is what he's doing, in that locker room, I think that will be very, very powerful, because it not only shows, okay, like, this is a real guy, right? Which, of course, you understand that, right? Yeah. But in theory, people think of these players as just objects, right, that can be moved around like chess pieces, right? But these are real people with real emotions, real just hates, loves, dislikes, all that stuff, right? So for him to be able to kind of just humble himself and be vulnerable and talk about his struggles, I think that will endear him more to his teammates. Now, the only example we have of that is coming from Tua, right? Tua said that that's what he's doing, right? Now, we have to obviously take that with a grain of salt, but I think we won't be able to fully understand or fully see this process until, honestly, it plays out on the field, right? September 5th against the Colts, I believe. But until then, it's all talk, to be honest. But up until we get to that point, but the talk is right. That's the point that I want to bring out, right? Because, to be honest, I think Tua did a good job of balancing, right? Of saying, look, like, there is an issue here, but he's working on it, right? He's trying. He commended him. He praised him. No, you can read the art. Did you read the art?
All right.
He said
you don't have children.
I do not have children.
So I think every parent can relate to this.
Okay.
When your kid F's up and doesn't do their homework, or leaves their shoes at school, or leaves their book bag at school, or doesn't make their bed, or doesn't clean their room, and then promises you that they're going to do it, they're going to do better, they're going to be a changed person. Dad, I just need this video game. I promise you I'm going to do all my chores. Every parent has heard that. We are on year 3 of hearing this from Tyreek. And the actions are never followed through. So while he did not get himself into any off-season trouble this year, we have to see more consistent maturation and behavioral changes. I'm proud. One thing about Tua that people have to understand, man, is that guy honest.
He's very honest. Very true.
I don't know if he could tell a lie. Like, if you ask him a direct question, he's not going to give you the politically correct answer. He's like, yeah, I got beef with Tyreek. I'm still working through it. Like you can't do what you did and act like it's all good. That's you hurt my coach. You hurt me. Like, I have not let it go. Like, you might be seeing more Jalen Waddle passes this year, brother. Like, Tua's like, I ain't let it go. It's not over.
I can't even necessarily disagree with him for having that approach, because he wouldn't have. Let's be honest. Same situation. Do you think Tyreek's doing that to Patrick Mahomes? Do you think he's saying this about Pat?
Yes, because Tyreek's immature. It could be Jesus Christ. I think Tyreek would have done the exact same thing.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay.
Have you seen any maturity from Tyreek?
I mean,
look, and I will say this: it was a 5-minute conversation. He literally broke down in the last 90 seconds. Something clicked, and he was just like, "Yeah, I can't be here. This is unacceptable. Like, we sucked. I'm hurt," and he was hurt. He was hurt. It was emotion.
It definitely was a very emotional moment. Like, and one thing I try to do with the story today is contextualize it, right? Like, people forget he'd been playing the entire season through a fractured wrist, all 17 games. Did he put the best film out there? No, but he still played all 17 games.
And he had just brought up the fact that Tua can't play, but I'm out here playing on this broken wrist.
Oh, 100%. And Tua, to your point, missed 6 games, 4 with a concussion, right? When he went on IR, and the last 2 with a hip issue, right? Like, it's not, too outside the realm of possibility for that just to have been a very emotional moment and him just outpouring, right? Now, was that the time or place? No. Maybe in the exit meetings, right? He should have waited, 24 hours. But I'm not going to fault a guy for having a very emotional response. I think the only reason why that this has become a big deal is because it's Tyreek Hill, right? And, I believe it was Jordan Brooks mentioned it, right? Like, look, like the only reason why this is even getting any attention like that is because it's Tyreek Hill, right? He's a guy that is very, that is always in the headlines. But
he likes the headlines. He likes the attention.
Exactly. But if Jordan Brooks would have said something like that, it would not have gotten the same attention.
Oh no! Jordan Brooks would have quit on his teammates and said, "I don't want to be here anymore." It wouldn't have got the same level of attention, but it would have got attention.
It would have got attention for sure. He had a moment.
I don't even remember the 49ers player who quit on his team. What was his name? You're right. Okay, you make a point.
The only reason this has become a contest is because it's Tyreek Hill, and he stays in the headlines, right? Whether that's by his own doing or
by his own doing.
But yes. I don't think it's his own doing that the divorce stuff. That's just public record. That was divorce. That's public record. That's the only reason why.
That's embarrassing. And
it's embarrassing.
Said he's been more forthcoming and revealing of his emotions, of the things that he's going through with his teammates. I knew this was brewing. I've always heard this was brewing. I never thought about asking about it because, Tua's going to get over it. But I heard there was a Tua Tyreek beef. I'm surprised Tua says they're not past it. And now, Tyreek even said, I don't expect to be voted a captain by my teammates.
He did say
he knows he's got work to do. So it'll be interesting to see how he does it. I didn't notice any passes to Tyreek today.
No. Yeah.
And Tua giving him the cold shoulder. No, I don't know.
Let's not do that. Let's not speculate. He could have not been open today. I don't know.
Speaking of practice, we want to get into some of the top performers, the top standouts, things that we observed today. Really, as I said, I pointed out that Zach Sealer worked. I'm going to surprise the world and acknowledge that I usually rank the top performers, give you 3 top performers. I started the list with Eric Uzukama, who made 2 very impressive catches, showcases speed at the end of it. It's one of the Dolphins' highlight plays that they've created for the day on their social media channels. I also gave Andrew, Eric Uzukama. Goodness gracious, who hasn't forgotten about Eric Uzukama? My second top performer was center Andrew Myers. With Aaron Brewer not working today and Liam Eichenberg on the PUP, more than likely going to be out for the regular season, that I'm curious what the issue is. If we're talking 6 weeks, that sounds like a knee scope. We don't know the specifics of it. I don't necessarily want to speculate. Dolphins signed Daniel Brunskill, a player that Mike McDaniel had history with the 49ers. Andrew Myers stepped up. No bad snaps, no collapsing pocket.
In the rain too.
In the rain. Very good point. I didn't even mention that it was in the rain.
In the rain.
Props to the young man who is fighting for his NFL future. And then
Sure.
I go with Alec Ingold, who obviously had a nice catch coming out the backfield for about 20 yards. Ingold was always been underutilized. My stock up I gave to Sealer just because he showed up and he worked today.
For sure.
Like, Sealer's that type of player. He's wearing a plaid shirt, some workman boots, and carrying a metal lunchbox to work. That's how he shows up to Dolphins.
I love it.
My stock down, even though I probably could have gave it to James Daniels, who had probably 2 offsides penalties, I gave it to Zeke Biggers. Because James Daniels pulled himself out of practice or was limited in his practice work. So I didn't get to see the full extent of the work that he was doing. And Zeke Biggers, even though he's a 7th-round pick, he's the biggest defensive lineman on the team. Saw him get moved out of his gap today by the 3rd-team center, who I can't even name. That's not a good look. You're definitely going to have to give me more, Zeke. And then we got into some of the injuries. What stood out to you today, Isaiah?
Hey, I'm definitely Eric Uzukama, right? Like, that first catch that he had wasn't necessarily contested, but it was through traffic. Like, there was a few hands that kind of went up before he, got, I believe it was a post that he ran, and, he might have got tackled around the 20-yard mark, but he finished it with a touchdown. And look, let's not forget that Cam Smith had a good play today. A fumble recovery.
Oh, yeah. How did I forget about Cam Smith's fumble recovery?
I don't know why you forgot about that, but
Cam Smith fumbled the ball.
And it was a scoop and score, courtesy of
return for possibly a scoop and score.
Yeah. And so I think we just got to acknowledge that, because, he gets obviously a lot of, hate from the fan base. And, I don't think it's disappointment. Let's not call it hate. A lot of he's disappointed a lot of fans so far. Right. And, early in this process, we can't really comment on where he is in the lineup, but, stuff like that has to be encouraging for not just, the rest of the position group, but for McDaniel, for Chris Greer as well, who, invested that 2nd-round pick in him a couple years ago. So, yeah, those were 2 things that really stood out to me. I also saw H.N. had a pretty good run. I believe Ollie Gordon had a pretty good run today. Those are the ones that really stood out to me for sure.
For me, the offensive line got a good chance to watch a lot of their movement. As I consistently say, I'm a little bit concerned about the left tackle backup. If Larry Broom is your left tackle, and he was horrible at left tackle in Chicago, I'm not having good feelings. My O-line IBS is going to act up on me. Then you lose Liam Eichenberg, and say what you want about Liam Eichenberg, but he's your 6th best offensive lineman. He's the next guy up. So not having him is going to put stress on what I would argue is the weakest depth unit on the team. Guys like Keon Smith are going to have to step up.
Wait. I'm sorry, pause. You said that's the weakest unit on the team?
Depth-wise.
The cornerback room isn't the weakest depth-wise? Because that's the weakest overall position. And so if it's already weak, the depth's going to be even weaker.
But here's the thing about the cornerback. Let me argue my point.
Okay.
I have no idea who's going to come out of that unit as a starter.
Very true.
They're all the same caliber level of player. They're like 6 of them that are there. And I can tell you, any one of them could start. I have no Jason Maitre, Ryan Cooper, Isaiah Johnson, Storm Duck, Kendall Sherfield, like not Artie Burns anymore. I don't know. And now with Artie Burns gone, I know they've had some conversation for Douglas. What's his name?
Russell
Douglas. They've had some conversations, had some negotiations. It'll be interesting to say whether or not they're going to get that deal done now that there's a roster spot available. And Dolphins don't have any cap space, so it's clearly going to have to be for relatively close to the minimum. Now we might see that veteran added because you lost one of those veterans. This is what happens to the cornerback unit. That unit just takes on injury after injury after injury. Same thing with wide receivers. So, but here's the thing. I don't know who the starter is, but I need 5. Can I sit here and tell you there are 5? I can't really, but I can't really tell you there aren't 5. You need 8 offensive linemen. Who are the backups? Who are the backups?
That's true. No, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, I understand what you're saying.
Now, both levels of them have not done anything in the
NFL. Yeah. I look, the only reason I'm, would push back on that is because you've seen, granted, Daniels is coming off of a Achilles injury, right? I just think that the bar is a little bit higher because of the starters, the bar is a little bit higher, right?
Okay.
And then from that, and because you don't know who the starters are, to your point, that to me sets the bar a little bit lower. Because look, not to say that someone can't a Storm Duck or a Cater Code can't have a breakout year that jumps kind of them into like one of the elite corners conversation. But from your eye test alone, have you seen that? Have you seen those plays?
I haven't seen bad plays. Like
you've seen no play, so it's going to be like the safety unit.
The only guy I can tell you got roasted was Jason Marshall Jr., and that was by Malik Washington on a perfectly placed pass. It's not like, and that's the thing. I want to see Tyreek out there doing Tyreek things. When I see Tyreek out there doing Tyreek things, then I'll have a better grasp of what's going on in the secondary. Right now, and I say this to people all the time, with offensive line and cornerback, if I don't notice you, that's a good thing. If I don't know your number, that's a good thing with offensive line and cornerback. That means you're not getting beat. You're not getting roasted daily. Like I used to notice Noah Igbenogany. Like I half the time somebody get beat on a pass, I'll be like, I don't even have to look. I know it's Noah. Like with these cornerbacks, I don't see anybody getting like beat. Like, pass might be caught here or there, but Tyreek and Jalen Waddle going to do that. Eric, now, whoever Eric Uzukama's beating, I got to pay a little bit closer attention to that. But, I like the patient approach that they've taken to this as an organization. Even Mike McDaniels hinted at it. They're young. They're unproven, but they can make a name for themselves. People don't remember Brent Grimes was a practice squad player for 2 years before he became a Pro Bowler. Like, came out of nowhere and became a Pro Bowler.
Darren Waller was a practice squad guy as well before he made the Pro Bowl. So I understand. I get it.
Darren Waller was a high draft pick who effed up his career and then was put on the Pro Bowl when he was like in the drug program. Darren Waller, that's a little bit more complicated. Yeah.
You said, wait, one more time. You said that, he was drafted in the 6th round.
Oh, he was still drafted. Okay, you're right. He's a practice squad player.
He's a practice squad player. Like, of course, you're right. There's other things that, but he definitely was a practice squad guy for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand what you're saying. Look, Isaiah Johnson has like a body type that, like, when you look at that, it's like dang, like that is, you would want that in a corner, right?
Jason Marshall Jr. too.
Range. Yeah, no, exactly. Both of them do. Both of them have the body types, but we'll have to see. Go ahead. I'll let you finish your point about the offensive line. Go ahead.
No, I don't really have a point. I'm just concerned about the depth of it because we know we got to go 7, maybe 8 deep on the offensive line every year. That's just the reality of it. And that unit is only as good as their weakest link. And I can't say that about cornerback. I could give a cornerback a little help. Mm-hmm. There ain't no help in the weak link on the offensive line. Yeah, he just gonna get, that chain is eventually gonna break, and then it's gonna potentially break your quarterback, and then your seasons, everybody's gonna be fired. So it's a dangerous snowball, but everything cannot be solved on July 23rd. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I will say no turnovers today. The action was okay. They started out, it was raining, so they started out inside. It was thunderstorm, so they started out inside. They eventually went outside and practiced in the rain. You're right. There was a wet ball situation. Andrew Meyer did not have any snapping issues. Tanner Connor did fumble the ball. Tanner Connor is a guy who's going to have a prime opportunity with Darren Waller starting the camp on PUP. He's the starter, and he's going to get an opportunity to prove that he can be a contributor and an impact player develop chemistry with Tua. I'm curious to see how that plays out because, as we know, Tanner Connor has always been a strong camp performer, and then he disappears on the world when the pads come out or the games situations come out. So it'll be interesting to see if he's ready to step up and develop. Any other standing thoughts from you on day one?
There's never a dull day on the Dolphins beat. Because just as we thought it was going to be, a relatively chill day, that's when it I just remember being in that tent, right, waiting for, I believe it was Cater who talked first, right? And you could hear the rumblings. First, it was someone's on the field past, they're surrounding somebody on the field, and we thought it was a staffer. That it just one thing after another. So never a dull day on the Dolphins beat. For sure.
Welcome to covering the Miami Dolphins. Imagine that for 17 years. I'm
surprised you don't have more gray hair, to be honest.
Oh yeah, no, the Dolphins are slowly killing me. Don't doubt that. From a stress standpoint, this team gonna give you cardiac arrest.
Oh boy.
But it'll be interesting to see what happens the rest of the first week. The week ends, I believe, Saturday. The Friday and Saturday practice are open to the fans, I believe. So
I think it's this Saturday. It's 26, 20 or whatever day is this. Oh wait, Friday's the 20. No, it's the 26th. That's when it starts. 26 is the first day.
Which is Saturday?
Saturday, Friday? Yeah. Saturday. It's the first day it's open.
All right. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Training camp. Plenty of things have to be solidified, established, identified. So can I form any hard and firm conclusions from day one? Absolutely not. But the conclusion that I do have is that we will be back tomorrow. Our goal here at Dolphins in Depth is to podcast every single day that you have practice, to give you a sort of a taste and let you know what the action looks like, how the team is performing. We will be here, and hopefully you will too. Like, subscribe, follow on the channel, follow on the audio channels, follow on YouTube. We thank you for your participation and for your dedication. Another plug, 3 months of the Miami Herald for $2. How could you beat that? If you want to get behind the paywall, get the stock reports and our daily coverage, it's all there for you. I think I'm worth $2 and Isaiah's worth $2 as well. All right. On that note, we are out. We will see you tomorrow.
Peace.